Coming up on 2.5 Geeks, Logitech's wireless boombox. Find out why Marco seems to be wearing some fancy, snazzy 3D glasses. Maybe it has something to do with Nvidia's 3D Vision 2, a Rage review, and a whole lot more.
The bar has been set wicked fast.
It rocked in the benchmarks. We're going to up the ante a little bit.
Processing power, I kind of understand this. Yeah, hey audience, good to see you. Hey Dave, Marco, I'm Ayaz Akhtar along with Dave Altavilla and Marco Chiappetta, two nice fellows from Hot Hardware who would like to talk to you about Hot Hardware. Very true. How's it going, guys?
It's going well. The Patriots are battling the Dallas Cowboys right now, and I'm missing it just for you people.
That is commitment. How about you, Marco? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Recovering from a great party last night. I went to a cousin's wedding and had a great time, so I'm good today.
I will be partying after the episode, only after the episode, so I will be dead tomorrow. But anyway, let's talk about let's say, if you were at a party, you probably want to be able to blast some tunes, right, Dave? Like, I know you guys tried out the Logitech wireless boombox. It doesn't seem like something you guys normally cover so much as it's like, well, first it's called the boombox. I mean, isn't that kind of 1980s?
Yeah, we're going to rock the house. The roof is on fire and all that. So, I'm pretty white. It's clear.
Let the Bluetooth burn.
Yeah, baby. So I took a quick look at this. It was a blog musing, as it were, at Hot Hardware. Not our typical review format. Logitech jumped up out of the blue one day, no pun intended, offering this speaker system, this little boombox that has Bluetooth connectivity. That's all it does. It's an amplifier, some drivers in there, some tweeters, and some ports, and it connects to any Bluetooth device, like a smartphone, for example. I was impressed with the performance from this little boombox, but what occurred to me was how not ubiquitous Bluetooth and wireless connectivity is, and how we're still struggling to have our devices talk to other devices, and we should have been there by now. We should have. This should be a no-brainer.
Well, you'd think that. I mean, I remember when Bluetooth came out, it's supposed to solve everything, but audio quality was kind of lousy on it. So then there was Bluetooth A2DP, which is supposed to be stereo Bluetooth, so you can actually listen to music. How was the actual sound on the Logitech?
Well, that's exactly what this is. It's Bluetooth A2DP. So the sound clarity is excellent. You do get an occasional flutter or break up a little bit if you're walking around with your phone. For example, I have an Android phone, a Samsung Infuse 4G, and that's what I was using to drive this boombox. You do get a little bit of distortion here and there if you're moving around a lot, or in between if there's obstructions, but it gets a pretty good range. Somewhere around 40 or 50 feet is what I've tested. You set your phone down and just pipe straight to this thing without moving around a lot, and it's actually crystal clear and sounds as good as any source material I've ever heard on a speaker. You don't hear that digital tinny sound or any loss that's detectable. But again, what's interesting to me is that we've got all these, and what I kind of wanted to open up to discussion here is we've got all these wireless technologies. We've got Bluetooth, we've got Wi-Fi, we've got wireless HDMI technologies from a number of camps, whether it be Intel's WiDi or Mimin's, wireless HDI, wireless HDMI transmission. Why don't we just have one wireless connection? We've got the technology clearly now. We've got the bandwidth. Why are we still struggling with this? And so, I looked at this device, really enjoyed it, but I'm still kind of left with, why can't I just, Intel has this vision, and we hear this from a lot of big name manufacturers, of, computing, intelligently aware computing. You walk into a room, and then the devices magically detect what's on your person, and you can go ahead and have your media available to whatever's in that room. We're not there yet, and it seems like we should be.
Marco, what do you think? Do you think it's a security concern? I mean, sometimes people think about, I'm going to walk into a room, all my stuff's going to pair up, but what if somebody's speakers, wireless Bluetooth speakers, whatever technology it is, picks up my cell phone, and I didn't want that? I mean, what do you think is holding up things?
that's easy to get around. But
I don't have a good answer. I think there's going to be one group of people that want to do it with the want to connect devices with the utmost in quality, and that's always going to be a wired connection. There's tons of different advantages and disadvantages to different frequency ranges. The exact frequency range of Bluetooth escapes me, but I know it's a short range communication. It has trouble penetrating walls, whereas a lower frequency signal can have a longer range and penetrate certain devices, certain materials. So I think it's probably a combination of tons of things, from market acceptance to technical limitations. But I really don't have a good answer. But I would agree, it would be just a lot easier to have at least some devices where it's just a simple wireless connection. Multiple devices can use it. It's a single standard. While we're not there yet, I honestly don't have a good answer.
I'm thinking once NFC really takes off, that will allow pairing to be a lot simpler. Because right now, when you want to pair a device to a pair of speakers, you have to go deep into the settings of your device, which normally, this isn't stuff I think normal people like to do. If you could just take your phone and go tap the speakers to pair, like that, I think would really take off. At this point, I think it's just too early. And I'm also with you, Dave. I'm frustrated that it should just work like that, right? Why can't my Bluetooth keyboard work when it's next to my computer? I don't know. Why can't I take my headset and move it from the phone to my Skype machine easily? I don't know.
Right.
It's just I'm thinking one day NFC will solve everything. Hopefully, you click it, you're all set, or you tap it.
It's coming, and actually, just to kind of bring us full circle on the product, I would offer that. Actually, Logitech came out with a pretty nice device here, in my opinion, just from from the pure functionality of the speaker. $150, room filling kind of sound, and we've got a fairly large family room, for example, in our house, and it fills the room nicely. Back deck, really can actually thump the jam out in the backyard cookout as well. It's definitely much cheaper than something like the Bose Sound Dock with its Bluetooth connectivity. So real good price range, and I thought knocked the socks off of Creative that has a wireless Bluetooth box as well. And so a good solution from Logitech. But again, we're just wondering why not just let it all hook up, and we don't have to talk Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, but all one big ubiquitous wireless pipe.
You're looking for a wireless utopia, Dave. It's
pipe dream. Yes.
It's a ways away. Let's talk about 3D now, Marco. If an audience, if you were paying attention, Marco was wearing a pair of glasses in the tease, and it might be related to Nvidia 3D Vision 2. Now, I was reading the review about this new technology, and one of the complaints that 3D gamers have is that the picture gets darker because you have like these intermittent, I guess, shutters moving around on your glasses. What exactly is new with Nvidia 3D Vision 2?
So there's a few things new. These are the glasses. I am wearing them. And you're correct. One of the complaints with 3D, whether it's gaming, movies, what have you, is that when you're looking at the screen, it does appear darker and somewhat more muted than just watching in 2D. And there's a few reasons for it. First, it's, the lenses aren't completely crystal clear. Then there's the synchronization between the active shutter glasses and the emitters. And with screens that had CCFL backlighting or screens that are constantly lit, the way the 3D would work is, the light to one eye is blocked, then both lenses would go black, then the light to the other eye is opened, and, it kind of alternated. So there are sequences where no light is getting to your eyes, or a minimal amount of light. Now, with NVIDIA's new technology, 3D Vision 2, they've used the same kind of optics, but they've made the lenses larger, so you have wider viewing angles. There's a little ridge along the top of the glasses to help block some more ambient light to keep you more immersed. And they've introduced a new technology called Light Boost, which works with LED backlit monitors. And the first one we looked at is from ASUS. Let me look at the model. The box is right behind me. It is the VG278H. And now what's cool about this, with this monitor, Light Boost is now able to flicker the backlighting on the screen in conjunction with the 3D emitter. So instead of having your eyes go double black, they can now shut the backlighting. So it's more just alternating between eyes, and you're never just left in total darkness. And they also have the ability to up the brightness. so it minimizes the darkening effect of the glasses, and overall it results in better 3D that's nowhere near as dark as the first gen stuff.
Now, you were mentioning how the glasses kind of close in a bit, so it's more immersive. Did this experience feel any different than the original stuff? I mean, the fact that both your glasses or your lenses aren't covered up, I guess that would make a difference. But how different does it feel? It's kind of a hard question to even put into words, but I'm kind of curious. Did it feel like a different experience, or did it just feel like, oh, this is marginally better than the old 3D?
It does feel different, and you're correct. That's one of the struggles we have with articles like this. We can't show you screenshots. We just have to give you our impression. We can't actually show you or measure how much better it is to show you, product A versus product B. But the conjunction of the larger lenses with light boost technology and the double brightness of the screens, it's absolutely a noticeable difference. It's the best 3D that I have experienced yet, whether it be in a movie, on a television, or a PC. Nvidia already had the lead in this department as far as PC gaming goes. They've extended that lead, in my opinion. 3D Vision 2 is definitely a step up. It's not completely night and day, but when you have a big monitor like this Asus screen with light boost enabled, with the new glasses, all these little marginal incremental improvements add up to a different experience, and it's definitely better. And what's cool about it is it's being introduced basically at the same price as the first gen stuff. $149 for the full kit, $99 for extra glasses, and that's basically just a little bit more expensive than street prices on the first gen stuff. So pretty good news all around, in my opinion.
Let's move over to the world of software. I mean, if you got hardware, you got to run something on it. And you guys, I know Joel actually got to do a review of Rage. Now, from the headline, I think he gives it away exactly what he thought of it. Rage, flawed, flat, but occasionally fun. Dave, can you expand on that?
A whole lot of F's going on there, for sure, in that their headline. Joel is...
Sorry.
Thank goodness. Joel is not one to pull punches. Let's just say that. And if anybody has read our site for any length of time, they will mark Joel's commentary, whether it be in the news or in his articles, with a sort of snide, cantankerous, almost Andy Rooney sort of wit that is funny and enjoyable and a lot of times spot on. He definitely has an opinion and a very quick analysis. And so Rage from id, certainly you have to understand, you have to put it in perspective. id Software really set the watermark for the industry and for themselves when they came out with the titles that we know them for from years gone by. Whether it be Doom, all of their titles, all the technology that John Carmack and the folks from id, going way back to current day, you really expect to be wowed. And so a ton of hype for Rage and id Software, and certainly they had to deliver just because the hype and the focus and the media attention, and God knows they loved it. Did they deliver? On a certain level, I think they did. I think the game engine is definitely something to build upon. The game itself is a little flat, as Joel would say. It's a little shallow. If you're a PC gamer, it feels, quite frankly, like this was developed for the quick hit console, sort of brainless jump in and fire away and frag, rather than the PC platform where folks really want to get into a storyline, get into and be immersed in a game. And so a little flat in spots, and an opportunity for id was set up to take a huge advantage. You think of titles like Call of Duty and that have just soared in popularity. Id really could have knocked one out of the park with this one, and they didn't.
Okay, so the question is, does it set a new bar for just terrible games like Duke Nukem Forever? I don't think it would be that far.
Oh God, no, yeah.
What are the positives? Apart from the fact that it seems to be a little limited, is there anything, some saving graces to this game that people should be excited about?
Yeah, there certainly are, and I think if you really take a step back and understand id's heritage and their legacy and what they're all about. Carmack is all about the engine, obviously. Certainly, they've got some IP under their belt that they've pioneered in the industry as well. Things like enemy AI, these guys are the masters of that. And certainly, there's some varying types of enemy AI in Rage, different clans of enemies that are sent to attack or that you have to go attack. Actually, act very differently from each other. They have different styles and methods, and so there's some really interesting, sort of id-like nuances that are in this game that you won't find in any other title or in any other type of 3D shooter, first-person shooter. But the engine and that, sort of what is id's core, whether it be the engine or the AI. I think that's where Rage has to go. From here, id needs to build on this because the title itself, at least and some of us picayune PC gamers, enthusiasts, I mean, we're pretty staunch critics. I think that's where they need to do. It needs to go is build upon this because right now it feels shallow. The plot isn't there. The mission structure is a little lacking. There's some technical difficulties right now with some of the graphics, texture popping and things like that. That's sort of indicative of, just driver tweaks that I think the graphics companies are going to iron out. That's not a problem. But really take the title and the base core technology that it does so well and build upon it. Because right now, it just feels like almost like somebody put out a demo.
So we're going to move on to the world of processors. And I got to say, I saw this in the lineup and I thought, I could have sworn we've talked about Bulldozer for about 15 years now. It's been a very long time.
Close.
Marco, you got to review the AMD FX 8150 8-core CPU, which is Bulldozer. AMD's Bulldozer is real? And you got to, not only is it real, but you got to test it. Did that really happen?
Not only I get to test it, it's sitting right next to me right over there right now. But yes, the FX 8150 is real. It finally arrived. I was doing some searching before I started writing the article, and there may be earlier posts on the site, but the first post I found was from 2007 that we,
wow, internet time. That is 15 years. I'm telling you, right there.
So yeah, AMD has been hyping up this core, and I'm sure the core that arrived is not the exact core that was originally envisioned all those years ago. I'm sure it has morphed many times over the years, but it has finally arrived. We got to take a look at the top-of-the-line desktop 8-core, and I'm using 8 cores in quotes for a reason. I'll explain that in a second. FX 8150. If you look at the specs, seemed like it was going to be a killer chip. Turbo clock frequencies up to 4.2 gigahertz, 8 execution cores, gobs of memory bandwidth, tons of cache, worked in existing infrastructure, socket AM3 Plus. So kind of all of the stars were aligned in what could have been an awesome launch for AMD, and enthusiasts that already had AMD platforms may have flocked to this. But we popped it into the test bed and ran the benchmarks, and it was only marginally faster in most tests than AMD's previous 6-core Phenom 2 processor. It basically matched the Core i5-2500. It won some tests, lost a few other tests, and could not compete with Core i7s or Intel's higher-end stuff. So you're seeing AMD's top-of-the-line chip arrive at $245, and where it used to be $1,000 for a top-of-the-line chip. And for that $245, you get a chip that sort of competes with Intel's $210 chip. So not the killer product the AMD fans that have been waiting for Bulldozer had hoped for. That's for sure.
So does this show anything about the future of AMD? I mean, if their top of the line right now is actually as good as the second tier for Intel, I mean, isn't that a problem? Or I mean, what are they working on for the future to combat this? Because if the i7s, the current generation of i7s is killing the AMD Bulldozer now, I mean, what's next?
Yeah. So this is where it gets interesting, and I think Bulldozer is laying the foundation for some what could be really cool products moving forward. So what they did with this architecture, they call it an 8-core, but it's really 4 modules with 2 cores each, but those 2 cores have shared resources. So AMD had looked at a modern multi-core processor and said There's a lot of redundancy here. It's not fully utilized all the time. So what could we eliminate and what could we beef up so that we cannot have this huge chip, yet still offer, well, hopefully offer the kind of performance of a true 8 multi-core processor. So that's what they did. They kind of shaved some parts, beefed up some things, and the actual die, the piece of silicon, is smaller than their 6-core chip, even though it's an 8-core. That's also because it's manufactured at 32 nanometer versus 45 nanometer. But they were able to pull off what they set out to, is produce an 8-core chip that is smaller and more economical to produce than their 6-core. But, you know, designing a chip and then bringing one to market, you kind of learn a lot of different things once you start executing real-world workloads on it. And I think AMD has already learned a lot from Bulldozer because it's been in development so long. And next-gen cores, like PileDriver, for example, which is coming next year, AMD has already said 10 to 15% improvements in speed, both from IPC improvements and clock improvements. So I think, you know, they're taking this chip, they're saying, okay, you know, we have these shared resources, what worked, what didn't, what can we tweak? And they may have a really good foundation set for the future. At least that's what I'm hoping, because we need the competition in the space.
You know, and I'd agree, Marco. I think, and God knows we need the competition. I think what they really need to start looking at is that IPC. You know, it used to be, you know, instructions per cycle. What it used to be the issue with fast processors, fast cores, was getting on and off chip quickly. And that's why you saw this big, you know, Intel going with these big, large cache pools, L2, big, large L2 and L3 cache on chip, and then serial interfaces to get on and off chip to you know, fetch data, store, you know, have it resident on chip rather than having to get off chip. And so large caches and serial interfaces, you know, really help that. With Bulldozer, we've got 16 meg of on chip between L2 and L3 cache. That's a huge amount of cache on die. And the serial interfaces, you know, really they got to start tweaking the schedule. They got to start, you know, tweaking the IPC or, you know, instructions per clock. You know, throughput is what it's all about, and hopefully they can do that.
So you know how you guys sometimes give away things at Hot Hardware? You know, like sometimes you give out like these awesome systems that have amazing processors in them, maybe sometimes more amazing than the Bulldozer. Can you drop any hints on any particular giveaways that are coming up at Hot Hardware?
We can.
Okay.
We can. We have to be delicate right now because we're still putting it together in terms of finalizing the details with our partner. But Intel has stepped up with a PC, a manufacturer, with something that could be very interesting. And it has Intel's second-generation Sandy Bridge Core i7 processor under the hood, as well as dual graphics, gobs of memory, SSDs, and hard drives. And so more details to come, but this one's going to be good.
That's right. It sounds like.
Let me drop a little hint too. I'm going to drop a little hint too.
Go for it.
If you like fast PCs and you're also an audiophile type, this one's going to be interesting to you.
So
there you go.
I'm just speculating here. I think they might be building a PC of some kind. Otherwise, they're just giving you a sack of parts, which I doubt. I seriously doubt the sack of parts.
No sack of parts.
No sack of parts.
I think we should do that for a future one. Let's just drop everything into a burlap sack and send it to somebody.
You call it Santa's grab bag. There you go. I just named your next one for December.
We need anti-static burlap, but, you know, it'd be good.
Yeah, you could line the burlap with anti-static, or each component will have its own anti-static bag. But I'm pretty sure that you won't have to even worry about that with this next giveaway. By the way, if you're curious about anything we talked about on today's show, you should check out all the articles at HotHardware.com because they are in-depth reviews of things. There's the blog that Dave wrote about the wireless boombox, and you can see his fun wordplay and his calling up Vanilla Ice. I think it might be the only reference to Vanilla Ice on HotHardware.com. I'm not sure, but I'm sure you can use the search and go try to find that out. Also, if you want to go around the web, you can go check out Facebook.com/HotHardware, maybe Dig.com/HotHardware, Twitter.com/HotHardware, or YouTube.com/HotHardwareVids. That gets easier every time I say it.
I hear an echo.
Yeah, that'll be edited. So if you didn't hear a mess up, it's because I took it out. There we go.
All right.
So that does it for today's episode. Does anybody have any final words they'd like to tell the viewing audience?
I think
Walk
we're good,
tall and be proud.
but I'll be back.
Thanks for stopping by.